This is a common exam question, which people quite often get wrong. Before we look at the question, I'd like to just look at two numbers, 0.09 and 0.1. Which of these two is the bigger number? The way to do this is to make sure that they've both got the same amount of numbers after the decimal point. To do that, I'm going to put a 0 here, so that this one has two numbers and so does this one. To find the biggest number, we now begin from the left and we look for the biggest number. These are both zeros. This one is 0, but then this one is 1. So this one must be bigger than this one. If we think about it in terms of money, this would be 9 pence and this would be 10 pence. So clearly, this is the bigger one. Looking at the question, I can see that this number and this number have three numbers after the decimal point. So they all need to have three numbers after the decimal point. So 0.56 I'm going to rewrite as 0.560. Then we have 0.067. 0.6 becomes 0.600. 0.65 becomes 0.650. 0.605 and then 1.010. Now the question asked me to start with the smallest number, so I'm going to be looking for the smallest. If I start on the left and look at these numbers, I can see I have zeros or 1. So one of these with the zeros must be the smallest. I now look at the next column. I've got a 5, a 0 or 6s. So the 0 must be the smallest. This is the smallest number. Now for the next number, it's going to be one of the ones beginning with a 0. Look at the next column, I've got a choice of 5 or 6. So the 5 must be the smallest. Remember that this number was actually 0.56. Next number, it's going to be one of these three. The next digit is always a 6, so I'm going to look at the next one where I have a choice of 0, 5 or 0. It's going to be one of the two zeros, but I need to look at the next number where I have a choice of 0 or 5. So it must be this one, which was actually 0.6. Now it's one of these two. Again, I have two 6s, but in the next column I have a 5 or a 0. So this is the smallest one. Now looking here, I have 0 or 1, so this one must be the smallest of those two. And finally, this is the biggest number. When you have a question that involves negatives, the best thing to do is to think of a number line. Here I've circled my numbers on my number line and we can now see what order they need to be in. -10, then -6, -4, 2 and then 5. Here are some questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers for those questions. Here are some more practice questions for you. Press pause and try them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers to those questions.